a story of a carefree childhood in the USSR. Hi, my name is Sergey. Let me tell you about my childhood. Back in the Soviet Union, winter was everywhere. Real winter, frosty, playful, with snow creaking under our boots. In the morning, school, the smell of chalk. Wet mittens drying on radiators. In the afternoon, snowball battles, sledding, hockey on a frozen puddle. And in the evening, the cartoon Nu Pogodi, and a hot cup of tea with my mum's homemade jam. We didn't know the word gadgets, but we knew the word courtyard. It was our entire universe. We built snow forts, threw snow bombs, and the most important question was, who's the goalie today? We played outside for hours, soaked scarves, red noses, frozen fingers. Nothing could stop us, except one phrase, dinner in 10 minutes. Summer meant bicycles, scraped knees, medals for bravery. Winter, wooden sleds racing straight into happiness. School New Year parties, golden tangerines, a chocolate bar, a tiny toy, and pure joy. Everything was simple, everything was magical, because happiness then was measured not by money, but by laughter and time spent together. Winter in our courtyard never followed the calendar. It started with the very first real snow, when our janitor, Uncle Pasha, came out with his shovel, grumbling as he cleared huge piles of snow. We already knew the season of great battles and discoveries had begun. We woke up earlier than usual, not because of school, but because those perfect snowy horizons were waiting outside. Mom wrapped my scarf so high it covered my ears, my nose, almost my eyes. I complained, "I can't see anything." She laughed, "You'll see everything on the hill." The courtyard was already alive. Older boys carved icy tracks with sleds. Little ones slid down on cardboard like tiny penguins, tearing the cardboard every few rides. But it still worked. Snowball fights were serious business. "Not in the face," everyone yelled, right before throwing every snowball exactly into someone's face. And if a snowball turned to ice, that was a weapon of mass destruction. We saved it for the final strike. When the frost bit our cheeks, we tried to warm ourselves with our own hot breath. Nobody went home until the moment moms shouted, trying to overpower the wind, "Get home, time to dry your mittens." You walk into the entrance hall, snow melting, boots squeaking, steam rising from you like you're a tiny locomotive. At home, the radiator, the true hero of Soviet winters, mittens, hats, socks, sometimes even pants, all drying on it. And in your hands, a cup of tea with raspberry jam. A little time to thaw, before running right back outside, back into the battle for winter freedom. School always began with the smell of snow on our jackets and wet mittens hidden in our backpacks. The locker room was chaos. Someone couldn't find their coat hook. Someone insisted their place was taken. Someone was already planning what to do during the next recess. In every classroom, a portrait of Lenin on the wall. Next to it, a huge map of the USSR. We proudly pointed to the tiny spot where we lived in that enormous country. The teacher walked in, strict face, kind eyes, especially when we didn't understand a thing. Before we could open our notebooks, the class duty students wiped the chalkboard with a wet rag, smelling like chalk, water, and last week's lessons. "Who's on duty today?" the teacher asked sternly. "He is." Everyone pointed at the same innocent kid. And suddenly, he alone was responsible for the success of the entire lesson. Our first love also began right here, with a tiny note passed to the back row. "Will you walk with me after school?" Yes, no, Hassus, and your heart pounded as if the school principal had called you into his office. Recess was a miniature revolution. Running, shouting, fighting over nothing, trading candy wrappers, secrets whispered under the desk. And the school cafeteria buns, a culinary paradise for just 6 kopecks. We came home tired but happy, and every time we opened our grade book in front of our parents, we prayed, "Please, no bad marks." Sometimes, prayers didn't help, but no matter how much we complained, school was our second home. There were friends, there were secrets, there were dreams. It was the place where we learned how to live. Our courtyard was more than just a courtyard. It was a kingdom, with borders, rules, and its own legends. Light poles, our watchtowers. Garages, treasure caves. Building entrances, secret headquarters. Everyone had a role: team captain, top scout, guardian of the secret spot under the old linden tree, the construction site behind the house, stronger than any magnet. There we searched for bricks of the future home, or real computer parts, though usually it was just a broken radio. If the older boys invited you, it meant you leveled up. But just in case, we ran like ninjas, hiding from neighborhood grandmas who could see through walls. Go to that construction site again, and I'll tell your mother. Daytime meant football, one ball for the entire courtyard, already missing half its design. Goalposts, 2 bricks. The referee, your conscience. And if the ball rolled under a car, match paused, life at risk. Evening came, windows lighting up one by one, and parents calling out names full of emotion. Vitya, home, now. And if you didn't listen, they brought out the middle name, Viktor Sergeyevich. Young man, I'm talking to you. We grumbled, but we went, because tomorrow everything would start again, and the courtyard would be waiting for its heroes. Our pioneer camp was a small, free planet. We traveled there like cosmonauts, ready for adventure. Tall pine trees reached for the sky, the cabins smelled like fresh paint and children's laughter. And every evening the campfire turned into a place of true brotherhood. Mornings, exercise to the radio, roll call, and loud commands from the counselors. Orliata squad, line up, attention. Quiet hour was never quiet. Someone whispered, someone giggled, someone wrote home, I'm fine, send money, and more candy. At the discos we danced in a long train, secretly watching those who dared to hold hands. Love arrived here faster than letters from home. Late at night we whispered scary stories about the camp ghost. After that, everyone was afraid to go to the outdoor bathroom, but we still went, as an entire squad. Bravery, a collective thing. The hardest moment of all, the farewell campfire. Don't forget to write. Never. But in a month, that legendary Vova was barely remembered. Yet the camp remained in our hearts, in the smell of smoke, in the hard camp bed, and in that very first real feeling of friendship. Holidays in the USSR always began long before the actual date. Waiting was half the joy. New Year's Eve, standing in line for the perfect tree. Shiny ornaments, stored in boxes with soft cotton. Tangerines, rare magical treasures. On TV, the Blue Light New Year show. On the table, Olivier salad, sprats, and Buratino soda in glass bottles. We waited for the chime of the Kremlin clock as if it were the most important event in the entire universe. Birthdays. A homemade cake felt like a masterpiece, the best gift, a toy car with a remote control or a doll with real hair. And of course, a birthday photo taken against that famous floral carpet on the wall. May Day and Victory Day balloons, music, smiles. Back then, it felt like the whole country was one big family. Holidays taught us to be happy with what we had. And that skill stayed with us for life. Television in our home was like a sacred object. We treated it with respect. There weren't many channels, but every program felt like a holiday. Nu Pogodi. Good night, little ones. Morning cartoons on weekends, and the magical New Year movies we waited for all year long. Sometimes the screen started to snow. Then Dad became a technician, turning the antenna like he was cracking a safe. How is it now? Better, better, just hold it like that. And Dad stood there, frozen in place, while we enjoyed the picture. A VCR, that was luxury. If someone had one, neighbors gathered in their living room to watch an action movie as a whole community. Television was our window to the big world, even if it showed only a few channels. Toys didn't just appear in our lives. We waited for them, we dreamed of them, and we treasured every single one. A construction set meant you were an engineer. A metal toy soldier, practically an officer, and teddy bears with wide, friendly eyes kept all our childhood secrets. One toy could hold an entire universe. A stick became a sword, a pile of snow, a ship, a puddle, an ocean. Our imagination did the rest. Every scratched knee was a badge of honor, proof that the day was lived to the fullest. We didn't have many toys, but we had boundless worlds inside our heads. If you liked this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned. The best is yet to come.